Hello, welcome to Speech Talk Live. This is episode number 48. My name is Jay Oza. I'm the host of the show, and my co host is Julie Vu Finkelstein out of Connecticut somewhere. So, we've been doing this now for close to a year. I think we're getting close to our 1 year anniversary in the next, probably by early June. So the reason we do this is Julie and I are both mentors for the Coursera course Introduction to Public Speaking, and this is sort of kind of our service to that community. We bring up speech topics, we record speeches, we review our speeches as a way to teach others, because both Julie and I are student in heart. Even though we've been doing this for close to a year and been mentoring even longer than that, the main thing is public speaking is something you have to be an eternal student. And at the same time, you also have to teach what you're learning and coach others who need help with their speech. And Julie and I actually coach people who have a speech to give as part of this show, if they're willing to come on the show, we will do it. So that's what we do, and we enjoy what we do. And public speaking is something that we keep repeating over and over again, is extremely important. You only get one shot to make a good impression. I'm sure you've heard of that. And that means you got to allocate time, you got to have a method, and you got to know what you want to talk about. So even though a lot of people just wing it, and it's unfortunate, but there is a real process to this, and that's what we try to do on this show. We use ourselves as examples, and if we can get people who want to come on the show, help themselves and help others, we're always welcome to have you come on. So that's the show. That's what we do, and I'll just go over briefly the agenda for today's show. So today's show's kind of we put together quickly. Julie's going to be continuing her series on her yin yang yoga stretches, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. So segment one is something I included because this is something that keeps coming up, and I've been kind of neglecting it. On Coursera, there are people all over the world post videos, and one of the things they always start when they are doing their introductory speeches, they always apologize because English is not their first language. So I took that and kind of expanded upon things that we are conscious of that may cause fear when we're speaking. So I call it address the elephant in the room, sort of like if you have, we'll go into that. The second segment is Julie's going to facilitate that. And as part of her continuing series on recording these videos. So this is an example of a show and tell video. And Julie's using herself as an example because she wants to eventually turn this part of her experimentation eventually into a companion video for her book that she's writing, and turn it into an online course where she's teaching people 12 stretches, simple stretches that anybody can use so you can energize yourself. And Julie's going to talk about the butterfly pose or stretch. And then the third one is another discussion topic video that I've recorded. And this one is sort of like a very fundamental question that a lot of us are always asking, like, why should I be giving this speech? Or why should somebody be listening to me? Like, what qualifies me to be talking to an audience? And this is a question you have to ask, like, what? And it's not like you need all kinds of certificates or diploma. You got to have a reason for giving a speech. So first you got to convince yourself. So we're going to have a discussion on topic. It's really a topic that we should think about before we ever give a speech. Like, because a lot of people, it's in a way, it's an imposter syndrome. But it's something I want to have a discussion with Julie and kind of get her thoughts on it and just see how that can help others. Because a lot of people ask this question like, oh, nobody would listen to me. So I just want to talk about that. So at this point, I'm just going to give you my brief insight for the day. And I like to do it in 90 seconds, but this is a simple one. So one of the things that I've been running into is that I'm currently writing a book tentatively titled You Are How You Speak. And I've been reaching out to many people. And what has really I've noticed is that a lot of these people, when you reach out to them, they don't respond. And I'm not asking them to do what I'm asking them. I'm trying to get a blurb from them. And so far, I haven't gotten any response back, which kind of like really bothered me. And I understand that some of these people have other people working for them who are looking at these requests that you make and see whether they need to respond or not. And I think a lot of these people who come on act like they got their act together. I'm finding out they don't have their act together. That the fundamental thing that they're not taking care of is how to serve. They always say like they want to serve their people. What I'm finding out is that's just a lot of, they're just saying that. It's a lip service. They're not really, they don't follow that. When I send somebody an email, when I'm requesting something, I expect a response back. It could be a no, that's fine. A no is a good response, but not responding back is unforgivable. I don't care what kind of business you're in. If you don't respond back, and that's why I'm bringing this up, that test it out, because this is something that whenever you're doing something, you at least owe a response. It doesn't mean you have to do somebody a favor. Even if you have people working for you, you got to train them that when somebody sends you an email with a request, if it's no or if it's something else, just let them at least get the response out so that person knows that somebody actually read that and responded. And I'm a little bit ticked off by this, that a lot of these people out there pretend like they are there to help you. And now I'm finding out they got a whole infrastructure in front that is very actually hurting their brand. So I just wanted to bring that out to you. You may run into that. And when you do, you got to bring it up, because these people cannot be allowed to be, say things that are really practically not true. Julie, I'm going to now turn it over to you and introduce yourself, and then we can get started with our first segment. So thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, everything is good in the field of consumer advocacy, and glad that you modeled that. Thanks, Jay. Good morning. My name is Julie Wu Finkelstein, and part of my interest is to connect the body to the mind and using that to succeed in our goals. So today, I would like to share with you a little exercise I did yesterday with my friend, and it really helped her. So you can do this practice anywhere in the privacy of your home. Invite other people to do it with you in the office, and become a brand for body-mind integration in a fun way. So you can use this for either problem solving, creativity, or when you're just feeling a little down. So it's a very simple posture. Started with going into the victory pose, as you know, which is what Amy Cuddy in her book Presence talks about. And then go through what I call the seaweed. If you think about the seaweed in the ocean, the wave comes this way, it just bends, and then the wave comes that way, and it just bends. And what that's really doing is adding flexibility in your body and mind. And then to fully integrate your body and your mind, go through a step-by-step of leading from different parts of the body. So you can lead, for example, first lead from the head. So let your head start the motion, and then let your arms follow, and your hips and your knees and your ankles follow. And then bring the head to the other side, and then let your arms and your hips and your body follow. And then lead it from the shoulder, lead it from the hip, lead it from your ankles and your foot. If you like, you can lead it from the knee as well. What it does is it activates every joint. It brings every joint into the circulation of energy. And then you can finish that with another victory pose. Do it in a very attentive, firm, and yet gentle manner. And then do some deep breathing. It should take about a minute or so, but you will feel much more energized. So this is the seaweed pose for energy buildup, for removing stagnations when you're moving toward creative solutions. Thank you.
Julie, thanks a lot. Yeah, that's very important pose that there's a lot of science behind that pose. And one of the TED Talk that I want to recommend if you want to learn more about it is, and in fact, there's a book, as Julie mentioned, Amy Cuddy. So if you do a search on TED Talks under Amy Cuddy, C-U-D as in dog, D as in dog, Y. It's an excellent, first of all, it's an excellent talk. And she also has a book that she wrote after she gave the speech based on the response she got. It's called Presence. So I actually use that, her TED Talk in my book. And also I have her book, and it's a very good book. I recommend it. So Julie, thanks a lot. And I'm going to take a brief pause, and we can then begin our first segment. Okay, welcome back to Speech Talk Live. This is episode number 48. My name is Jay Oza. I'm the host of the show, and my co-host is Julie Wu Finkelstein. In this first segment, we're going to have a discussion. It's a discussion topic. And the topic is, I think I tentatively titled it, Address the Elephant in the Room in Your Speech. Now, what do I mean by that? So I came up with this idea actually from two things. One is I was listening to Michael Port's podcast, and he had this woman, which I've never heard of her. Her name is Neen James, and she's a professional speaker. She speaks a lot. I just haven't seen her. There are so many of them out there. And she's very interesting. I recommend you listen to that podcast. So her first name is spelled, I think she's Australian, and now she lives in America. She's an American citizen now. Neen, and last name is James. And she said something interesting, because she evidently is a short lady. She, I think, is only about 4'11" and a half. I think she puts an emphasis on the half. But also she has a voice that sounds like a little girl. And she said that, she gets that out right up front with the audience, because they're going to notice it anyway. And why not just address it right up front that, she's short and she has this voice that makes her sound like a little girl. I think she's not a little girl. She's a woman probably in her 40s or 50s. But then I also realized that, that same thing that she mentions, it comes up quite a bit whenever I review the Coursera speeches, the introductory speeches. And this is common with people whose English is not their first language. And they always start out by apologizing, saying, oh, I apologize, my English is not my first language. So it occurred to me that we need to discuss this, because you don't want to get into a speech with that in mind, like, oh my God, oh, what if they don't understand me? Because that's how you develop fear when you're speaking. So the thing to do is just get it right out in the open, come up with something humorous, and it may take a couple of iterations before you get it right. Just get it out there, address the elephant in the room, because if you don't, then people are going to focus on that. So for example, because remember, the main thing when it comes to speaking is that you have a message, you have a purpose, and you want to be yourself. So if you have an accent, just get it out there with something funny. If you have perhaps, one woman we know has cerebral palsy, but she's a very good speaker, get it out there. Let the people know. Get the elephant out, address it. People will see it. Don't just like hide behind them, make them wonder like, oh my God, is there something wrong with this woman? Is this something, what's wrong with it? They're going to notice it anyway. And it might even divert their attention from your message. So the message is the main thing that you're trying to convey. And if anything out there that's going to prevent that from happening, you've got to address that. So in my case, sometimes I tend to talk, you don't, like I said, you don't want to apologize. So do not apologize. But if something that is so obvious, then let the audience know. So then they can forget about that and focus on the main message. So all those people out there who are watching it, who are taking the Coursera course, if you're from China or India or any other country, Russia, or any of the Spanish-speaking countries, do not ever apologize for your accent. Come up with something humorous and then get right to the message, and you have a purpose for speaking and you want to be yourself. And that's it. That's all you need to do, because this is something that keeps coming up. And I just wanted to get Julie's take on it. And let's face it, we all have something. We're not professional actors, okay? We're not professional actors. I don't have a voice that's like some of the big actors like Morgan Freeman. He's supposed to have one of the best voice, or James Earl Jones. I mean, I wish I had that type of voice, but I don't. I have to live with what I have. And also, I tend to use a lot of gestures. I get sometimes pitchy, and also I tend to speak fast. And when I speak fast, I tend to slur certain words. That's who I am. That's my authenticity. But I have to work with that. And you don't want to suddenly feel like, well, what if I suddenly start talking fast and suddenly my Indian accent comes out? That's just the way it is. Okay. So Julie, what do you think? What are some of the things that you get conscious of when you're speaking, whether whether it's your accent or the way you speak, or something that you would like to just kind of get it out, like address that quickly and then get to your main message? Do you even think about this?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. I really liked how you opened the speech up. I think I'm quoting you. You said that we all have deficiencies. And what I got was, we all have deficiencies, but we can't let that stop us. So we either fix it or live with it. But if it's something other people's aware of, then put it out there. As you know, when I started first doing these videos for the presentation, and thank you for letting me do that, I was extremely unconfident. I was stuttered, but even more than that, my body language wasn't there. And right now, I feel like through practice, I'm much more confident in the way I present myself in a video. This morning, I was told that that I need to change my voice. And then she said, I said, well, my accent is my accent, And then she said, well, it's diction. And I look up the word diction, and diction, most people think diction as a pronunciation. And I think that's what she meant, because I know I'm pretty good with vocabulary, and I usually can hear other people's misuse of vocabulary. However, because of my accent, and I grew up in Canada, I lived with a Brooklyn Jew, I spent 30 years in Chicago, I have a very unique accent. So I have to accept that. But I think what she said at the end was very important. She said she couldn't hear me clearly. And so that means clarity in my words. And I think that's pronunciation. So it doesn't mean I don't speak. I still come here and speak. But the wonderful thing about stepping out into a forum such as this, which you provide for us, is that we get to practice. And I think practice makes competency, and even better than expertise or excellence, and practice brings confidence. So putting the elephant out in the room is a great idea if it's what's hindering people's attention. So I would think that if there's an elephant in the room right now for me, it's probably that I need to speak more clearly. Yeah, I like what you said too. Oh, let me just finish this. You said that if this could apply directly to me. You said if it's not clear, I can make my sentences more simple. And I think I will add to that more pausing between sentences. I could practice that perhaps. Yes, I would be happy to hear your feedback now.
Yeah, I think you come across clearly. I think what happens sometimes is, I think you and I have discussed this, is when you start talking like it's when you have that businessese, is that what they call it? Businessese?
Businesses.
Yeah, I think you are right now, you're perfectly clear. But sometimes what happens is, and this is the point that I'm going to give you constructive criticism here,
Thank
that
you.
sometimes you get to business ease. And that's what you have to watch out for. If it's in a business setting, even there, people, it's not appropriate. But sometimes you have that tendency to start talking businessese. And like, people who are, and that's just something that's maybe it's hard to, it's something you just gotta watch out for. Like somebody who's in a legal profession, they start talking in legalese. It's just jargon that you live with, and after a while, you don't even think about it. And somehow you have a vast experience in IT field that you tend to bring some of those words into. If you, it's okay to bring it, but let the people know that I'm going to bring this word into into our conversation, so that they know, okay, you're bringing it in. But otherwise, you just can't assume that the other person is going to know it, because then what happens is suddenly you just made yourself smart, but you didn't make the audience, the person you're talking to, any smarter. And that becomes almost like a conversation ender rather than a conversation extender. The other thing that you said, it could be a very good thing for you. You just said it, that the elephant in the room, what you said was in a very humorous way, that, you were born in Hong Kong, you lived in Canada, then you married to a Brooklyn Jew, and then you lived in Chicago. So if you can make sense out of my accent, let me know. So that could be your elephant in the room. You're doing it in a very humorous way, and you don't have to then worry about like, oh my God, whether they're going to understand my accent, because you're not going to be able to fix that. That is like that's something you've developed. It's over so many years that if you have to go and change that, that's just it's just impossible. But you can make it light and saying, hey, I know that I have an accent and I understand it, but it's through all of these things. And if you can get through experience and still have a clearly English, a Connecticut, even though I live in Connecticut, but I don't sound like a typical Connecticut. Like, who's that guy on the radio, who used to?
Hey, can I ask a quick question?
William Buckley. Tell him, I don't sound like William Buckley. I live in Connecticut. It's something like that.
Can you give me a couple examples of where I use what words or terms or approaches that you will consider businessese?
Not in this conversation we're having.
No, just over all the times you know me.
Like sometimes you start thinking about like systems thinking. You have and I don't want to make this sound like that this is a real problem, because for me it's not.
No,
I can understand it because I know where you're coming from, right?
Right.
Like so certain words that you and I will understand because we're both from an IT background, like a proof of concept or a protocol or some of those words that we just don't even think about. It's kind of hard for me to go back, and I have to look at some of the videos that I'll let you know when it comes when I
okay, that is
appreciated. It's hard for me to go back and see, but you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there is certain knowledge that you have amassed over the years that is very much related to the work that you were doing. That after a while it creeps into your regular conversation that you may not even think about. Right. You and I both do that. We tend to do that. Like if for somebody, I'll give you a perfect example that men always do. Men follow sports. And when they're talking to women, they assume that the women are also big football fans. And they'll use a lot of these football. So jargon is not only from business side, it could be from anything, right? So if I start talking to you, hey, Julie, we got, in order for a speech, we got to have like a pre-game and then we got to really have a game and then on a post-game. Now, that may not be that much of a jargon, but it is a sports jargon right there, that I'm taking something from a sport like a sport like football and using it. And you might be like, I have to know that from your point of view, you may not be a sport. Pre-game may be something that doesn't resonate with you. What does pre-game mean to you? So I have to really be careful. So jargon creeps into our language which we're not even familiar with. So I just wanted to make that clear that. But overall, I think you have that that if accent is something that somebody's pointed out, and if you want to get that elephant out of the room, you already have a nice setup. So my point there was that you got to address the elephant in the room, make it lighter, and then focus on the message. So then you don't come back and worry about, because otherwise, here's what can happen. You'll be focusing more on like, oh, will they understand me? Will they understand me? And that's not where you want to spend the time.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other closing thoughts? Because the reason I brought this up was because the main thing was that a lot of people, when they're speaking English, and English is not the first language, they're already gripped with fear that, oh my God, I'm just not going to come through. People are not going to understand me. So what would you have to say to people on the Coursera platform whose first language is not English? What kind of tips would you give them?
Yeah, thanks. I think there's a couple points. First of all, English speaking, even though it's a lingua franca, meaning the language that everybody speaks for business, lingua franca. When you really look at it, the native English-speaking population is maybe 10%, maybe less, of the world. So that means 99% of us have an accent, or maybe even 100%. Because even southern USA people, I cannot understand them, I'm sure Southerners have trouble understanding Northerners. And in England, there's a Brighton accent, there's the Irish accent, in the British Kingdom. And then, of course, French people speak English with an accent. So I think the default, as in, most cases, people will have accent. So I think we should just be proud and own our accent. The other thing, two more points. One is, I think, as I said for myself, being understood is important. So if taking a pause between sentences, pacing, what the timing is between words, and simple sentences, they add up to clarity, and those are good places to practice. And finally, I think there's a fine line between being authentic and having an elephant in the room. And as long as we try to be clear and we make effort to be understood, we have to start there. That's what I think. Thank you.
Yeah, those are good points. So the points that I'll give to people who are watching this is one is to do what we're doing, record videos and listen to yourself. And second is this is it's one of my saying that there's no such thing as public speaking. There's only good speaking, bad speaking, and no speaking. And if you are in a country where people don't speak English, it's going to be kind of difficult. But that's why today there are no real problems because you can actually speak with other people using this technology. So that should not be a hindrance. But if you can't find people who speak English and you have that opportunity, whether it's at work or some activity that you participate in where people speak English, try to speak in good English. Don't use that as a way of practicing. So don't just use that and just wing it. So those are different ways you can practice. And after a while, you're not going to notice it. Okay, so that's what you have to do. Because otherwise, it'll be difficult. You will deny yourself of giving a speech because you just gripped with that fear that, oh, maybe my accent. And Julie has a point that English has so many different accents. In America, I think they say that the only one place, the original accent, the clear English American accent, comes pretty much out of West Coast. So if you're from any other region,
Midwest.
Huh?
The Midwest. Actually, most anchors are trained to speak like from Iowa.
Right. Iowa, Nebraska, that area, right? Like I think Tom Brokaw is from Nebraska, isn't he? Somewhere like that. Anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah. Again, it's out west, like Ronald Reagan. That type of an accent is considered the original American accent. So if you look at Bill Clinton, he speaks with the Southern accent. Barack Obama speaks with some accent. Donald Trump speaks with the New York accent. So these are not, they all have accents, okay? But I don't think they think about it every time they're giving a speech like, oh my God, I have an accent. People are not going to understand me. They don't even think about it. You shouldn't either. All right, Julie, that's a wrap for this segment, and I'll take a brief pause and introduce the second segment. Okay, welcome back to Speech Talk Live, episode number 48. And this is segment number 2, titled The Butterfly Pose. So this is a continuing series that Julie has been working on for the last several weeks. And this is also something that if you're watching this, it's a kind of like a show and tell video. So what Julie has done is she wants to demonstrate this pose, the butterfly pose. And this is part of her 12 stretches that she's currently working on a book. And also she would like to include a companion online course that shows these poses. But what she's doing is she's separated this into 2 parts, the talk and the pose. So rather than me talking, I'll turn it over to Julie. She can describe what she's trying to achieve with these 12 stretches, and then describe this butterfly, and then we can have a discussion on if she wants any kind of feedback from me on this. So Julie, why don't you take it over at this point?
Thank you, Jay. Yes, the butterfly pose is a part of the Integral Stretches series that was taught to me by Everett Ogawa of Integral Bodyworks, and it's done in the slow yoga tradition. It's now called Taoist yoga or Yin yoga, and the idea is when you do it slowly, you're actually not working on the muscles, but you're working on the subtle systems, starting with the connective tissues. But also in the Chinese, it would be called the blood and the qi. Qi being life force, or fundamental energy. So, for example, when you breathe in, we think of breathing in oxygen, but we're actually breathing in a very complex mix of chemicals with micro traces of many minerals and some slight other combinations of oxygen. But what it does is it gives us life, so it's a vitalizing energy. And in Indian, it's called prana, and in Hawaiian, it's called mana. So the butterfly pose is near the end of that pose, and what it does is it opens up the insides. Jay, I would like you, sorry, I should have said that earlier. I would like you to give me all and any feedback you have and suggestions. And this time, I believe I found a camera in my house, so I used it. So I think you can see a little bit more of me. I'm still playing with the camera. For myself, in terms of the pose itself, it's a very deep pose because we've already gone through and opened up everything. And this one, we are going deep into the groin area. And it's really good for chronic issues, especially in the areas of reproductive organs, which for the male is the prostate area, and for the woman is the uterus, the urine system, urinary tract, bladder, and also any kidney issues. But because it is a deep pose, even though it looks very gentle, it's a very powerful pose. So my key point here is do it very slowly, do it with a great deal of awareness. And as in all stretches in this series, always good to compare before and after and take ownership of the new possibilities. Sometimes people feel it's too hard, too much to go so deep in the deep groin area. So I suggest people use the hands or the elbows as a brake to control how much they want to stretch at any one time. And the butterfly pose, then you can do it anytime. And I even suggest that you could try it when you're watching TV. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Jay.
Oh, okay, Julie, thanks a lot. Hey, I want to just mention something that I forgot to mention in the first segment when we were talking about the elephant in the room. The one thing that I think you have a real, which I never noticed until just recently, is you have a real nice voice. And by that I mean is it's a very commanding voice that you have. That I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. If there is somebody out there that can give you some voice lesson, I think you can get more out of it, because I think your voice makes you appear, I don't know how big you are, but it makes you look like a kind of somewhat imposing. You have that type of a voice, which I think is very good when it comes to public speaking. People tend to listen to that. So I just wanted to, this is meant as a way of like, that there is a lot of strength that you have there in your voice alone. Because sometimes when you say it, I said, wow, this person commands respect. And you have that. So just remember that. And especially like when you have a way of varying it, because sometimes, like women sometimes have a problem in a sense that their voice is just so high pitched that right away it puts them at a disadvantage. You don't have that. You have that voice that says, hey, I'm in charge. You better listen to what I have to say. And if you can just, if there's an opportunity for you to take voice lesson, I think you can do a lot more with that. So that's one comment which I should have mentioned in the last segment. I think this butterfly video was excellent. The only comment that I'm going to make is, I don't know if I made this the last time. I don't have any comment on the first one, the talk. The talk was fine. I think the way you did it, you were sitting down in that pose, was excellent. So I didn't see. My comment has to do with the second one. And it's not like anything. I think when you get to the demo part, you should just demo it. So what you want to do is just kind of summarize the three things that you already talked about in the talk segment, the talk video, and then let them know that there is a talk video, and then include that in the description section, because you don't want to repeat everything that you already discussed it. I think you tended to do that for the first minute and a half. I think that once you get into the demo, you're just saying, just so that if you watch, so in case somebody didn't watch the talk video, here are the three things we discussed in that video, which I urge you to watch it if you want to get more out of it. And then just get right into the demo. So that's a minor point. Oh, the other thing I'll point out, I know right now you're using yourself as the person who's doing these poses. At some point in time, when you actually turn this into a companion course, what you may want to do is get somebody who is actually doing the yoga and let that person do the pose, and you actually describe that person actually doing the pose. Does that make sense? So that way you are just as a teacher, but you're showing somebody who get a model to do the pose, and then you can show them that here's how you do it, and you can point out to different parts of the body that you'll feel a little pain here, a little pain there, because sometimes when you're doing it, especially for this pose, that when you're arching backwards and you're talking about the vertebrae, if that person was on the side and you can point out and just say, okay, here's this part, come up a little bit like that, I think that would be very effective. Not for what you did in this video, but I'm just saying if you turn this into a companion course, instead of you doing the poses, I think you'd be better off getting a model to do the pose and you just describe it and let that model, rehearse it with the model, and then just show them exactly what should be happening at each point in the pose. And that's basically it. Otherwise, I think this was excellent. I think you're getting better and better at it. And the only thing I would just fix is that when you transition from the talk video to the demo video, just have three things that you want to the summary that you used in the talk video, start with that, just in case somebody just starts with the demo video, they may not know what did you already talk about, and then refer to the talk video. I think if you fix that up, then I think you pretty much, that's the only comment I have to make on this. I don't know if you watched it, but because sometimes what happens is that there's a lot of sometimes there's some repetition from what you just discussed in the talk video, in the demo video. And I think that what you want to set up in the talk is the demo is just going to be the demo, but you do need to spend a little bit of time in the beginning, just out of nowhere and just watch the demo video. So they need to know about that. These are the three things we already discussed, and I have included the link to the talk video if you want to get more detail, and then just go right into the demo. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have to think about it. I mean, I know what you're saying. Right now, it makes sense. But I have to, when I'm actually doing it, I have to see how that works out. As far as working with a model is concerned, I appreciate the suggestion. Maybe we can talk about it some more. I'm sure we'll be talking about it some more before I actually get to
the model. Okay, when I say model, I'm just saying that if you are doing this because one of the things that you're planning to do is you're writing a book, and at that point there may be a companion course. And for companion course, what I'm saying is that, I mean, right now you're getting a lot of experience on doing your own video, but if you're doing a companion course, it's a suggestion that means that then you can just focus on showing the people exactly what you're talking about, which may be difficult to do when you are actually doing it.
Yes. It's just a new idea. Let's talk about. I'm saying it's a new idea. I need to, I need to take it in and then.
This is something this is something I brought up because when I was watching it, I said, it would be so much better if the person was doing it and Julie was actually.
Okay, that's great.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And that's all I have. Any other kind of things any other question you have regarding the.
No, that's great now.
I like the description you had in the beginning. You went into all the different parts of it, the benefits regarding, prostate, kidney, all of that. That was excellent. And you kept on, and also you were talking about why this is such a powerful move. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to sell the pose, and you did that. You sold the pose well. And when I say sell, I don't mean being sleazy about it, but what are the benefits, how it's going to help you. And then the one last thing is you didn't get me off my butt to do it. So that's the other.
Okay. I didn't have an action. Okay. Well, I did kind of. I said you can do it while you're watching TV.
You can have a little standard line. So here's how I did it. Now, are you going to do it? Something like that. Something that gets somebody saying, okay, I'm watching you. I want you to do it. Like that. Just get them, be a little playful.
Okay.
Okay, that's about it.
Thank you.
Any closing comments?
No, that's great. I think as you know, I wrote the first rough draft, so I need to make time to rewrite this.
Right, but I think what's happening is that you are creating a lot of body of work here. So once you do that, because I think one of the things that I like to use you as an example is that you're a doer. There are a lot of talkers out there that'll talk, they'll read other people's book, but unless you start doing it, that's when you really start learning it. And you're learning a lot of different aspects, even not just the public speaking part of it, but even these poses. Because as you're trying to teach people, you probably are saying, wow, I'm now learning more about these poses than I ever thought I knew. So I think the main point here is that unless you start doing something, you really don't know how much you know and how much you need to know. And I think that's what I think that you're learning the most here. And that's good. That's what people should do. So there are a lot of things here that with these videos that you're doing, you're learning. Not only yoga, but yoga is what you're using as a way to learn how to communicate that to others, get them all excited and get them start doing it. So Julie, thanks a lot. And I'm going to take a brief pause. Okay, welcome back to Speech Talk Live, episode number 48. My name is Jay Oza. I'm the host of the show, and my co-host is Julie Wu Finkelstein. In this third segment, I pose a simple question, and it's a question that we all often ask. why should anybody listen to me, or why should I, why should anyone listen? You should listen to anyone like that. That's a question, right? It's commonly known as an imposter syndrome. We just don't think that we're qualified to be talking about a particular subject. In the second segment, you just saw Julie talk about yoga, butterfly. Now, she could easily say, well, but I'm not a certified yogi. I'm not, I mean, she may be certified. I don't know what kind of certification she has, but that's not the point here. But let's say, like, I didn't, do 8 years of study and under some guru somewhere in India or China or wherever. What would qualify me? And that's, if you ask that question, then you may not be qualified for anything. Nobody would be ever qualified. I mean, that means that unless you win a Nobel laureate, you can't talk about physics. So that's not how you want to look at it. There has to be something there that you are able to communicate. You may have a communication skill. You might be able to take something complex and simplify it so the other person understands it. There's some unique thing that you're bringing that qualifies you, and you got to find what that is. So, like, for example, somebody could easily say, like, hey, why should I watch the Speech Talk Live? I mean, you're not like Oprah or anybody like that. And you'll be right. We're not Oprah. But you know what? Even if we can help, we're helping ourselves. So first thing is, we're helping ourselves. I don't care if anybody watches it. That in itself is that's my low bar, that this allows us to help ourselves. I help myself by doing this show. It helps Julie. And that's all we really care about. If it helps one more person beyond that, that's just gravy, okay? And that's the bar you have to set, that the first person it has to help you is you. Then if you can find one other person, and I got Julie, that's it. I don't care if anybody else watches this show. And that's the kind of attitude you got to have. If you got that, then other people will listen to you. But first thing is, you have to ask yourself, do I want to listen to myself? And you got to get past that stage, because once you say, yeah, I like to listen to myself, I like what I'm saying, then somebody else will like it too, and more and more. And that's how you get a following. And this is the kind of question, because otherwise what will happen is there are people out there who are very much conscious of like, you don't want other people to give you credibility as far as like, oh, you don't have this degree. Oh, you don't have a professional background in media, so you can't do this. If that's how they're thinking of it and not what your message is, then those are not the people you're trying to reach anyway. If you got a message, you have a uniqueness that you're bringing to it, that's communicating something that you think that you want to serve, help other people or serve other people. Anybody has right to be on any stage, okay? Nobody gives you permission. You got to give yourself the permission first. And if you give yourself the permission first, that's all you really need. And that's what we're kind of doing here with this show. We didn't get nobody told us, hey, Jay and Julie, can you do this show? We didn't get a permission from Coursera. We didn't get permission from anybody. We just started doing it. And you know what? That's the only permission we needed. So, Julie, this is a common, because this is a common question that people ask, that, oh, nobody would want to listen to me. Like, you could have said the same thing, like, oh, there are so many yogis out there that are doing it. Why would they want to see my video? But you gave yourself the permission. This is something I think Seth Godin always talks about. You gave yourself a permission, and that's the only permission you really need. And once you give yourself the permission, other people will just follow along and say, hey, Julie, you gave yourself a permission? Oh, I better listen to you. I better watch you. And that's all you really need. So why don't you describe how do you give yourself permission to do what you're doing?
Yeah, Jay, I think this is, as in many of your talks, I think this is great. And it's about why, the question is why listen to me. The question, the companion question is why I express myself, right? And I think I really appreciate what you said is I don't need a PhD. I don't need a fancy school. My experience is my credibility. I really appreciate that. And so I didn't, the thing I want to focus on is you never know where you end when you start something, you know. And you're right, when we started doing this, I had no idea what it was going to be. But I have learned so many skills. We've become friends. Um, we gave each other the permission, and we discovered new. You know how Steve Jobs talks about connecting the dots? Not only are we connecting the dots, we are making dots in our universe of being, of new skills, new possibilities, and new relationships. Um, Another example similarly is, you know, that I host a similar program. I don't record it. I call it Uncovering Our Success, where anybody can come on. They practice introducing themselves, where we meditate for 5 minutes, and then we read, and then we discuss the topic. So far, we're almost finishing our second book, but the books are based on success, and not necessarily career success or personal success, but both. You know, basic skills that can be used anywhere. And recently, the past 2 weeks, several people have come on and they said they've read both books. They've never joined until they came in, and that it inspired them to have success practice, an ongoing practice every day to do something that further their success. So I think is, you know, like the Nike actually borrowed it from the Zen community in San Francisco. It's just do it. You know, you never know where it's going to lead. So I like the idea of saying give yourself permission, just start. You don't have to be an expert. You will become one along the way. And I love the two phrases that we use now, which is fake it and you'll make it. This is how I take it. Fake it and you're making it, or hack it and repeatedly hack it, and we are already making it. So hack it or fake it, but we are making it. So that's my, and then you never know your impact. You know, all around the world, there are people who, because of the event I set up, who are reading the books I recommended, and who, even though they don't join the event and I don't have it recorded, they are reading the blogs on the discussion forum, and it's inspiring them to be more of what they want to be.
Yeah, I want to touch upon a couple of things you said here. One is, I think you said the Steve Jobs example about dots, right? And he said that you can always connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards. And I think that's a very important point that you just made there, because I think what happens is that when you're doing something that is risky, because you're gonna, I think what you do is completely remove the audience out. I know it's difficult, but you have to. Otherwise, if you are very audience focused, then you're not going to achieve anything, because anything that anybody ever starts with, there's not like a huge following, right? They just start on their own. Like Wright brothers, they just built a plane. You know, they didn't need a permission. They're just basically, I think they were bicycle repairmen, right? And they just said, okay, we're going to build a plane, and now look at it. Look where we are with airplanes, right? So similarly, what happens is that when people start something and they're very outward focused. They say, oh, well, unless I get more people to watch my videos, I'm just not going to be a success. So that word success is a crazy word. I remember one time I was reading a book by D.H. Lawrence, and he calls that word success, quote unquote, he calls it the bitch goddess. You know, that's the word he uses. And it's something we get so drawn upon that we don't even know why we're doing something. So one of the things is, this show, I don't even look at the metrics. Like, I don't care how many people are watching it, or after a while, that's crazy, because once you start doing that, then you're not going to focus on why you're doing it. So the first suggestion I have is, anytime you want to do something, do it for yourself. Like, you enjoy it and you want to get something. It's part of your learning. if somebody watches it, great, but don't let them dictate whether you should do anything, because they're not the ones that really matter. You matter. And we do this show. This is our time. We put in the time. We do it. Nobody, we don't have an editorial board or anything, and nobody gives us a script on what to say. We say whatever we feel like it. And there are people who watch this show and they like it, and they'll spread the message. And so what we're doing is exactly what you should be doing. That you got to give yourself the permission. You have a topic that you're passionate about, and just start doing it. And eventually word will get around. And you know what? It's not like the word is going to get around the next day. It could take years. But what doesn't change is what you're passionate about. And after a while, when you're passionate about something, like Julie's very passionate about the yoga and all that. Now, she's not just going to give it up, say, oh, you know what? I did that video, Jay, and you're the only one who watched it. That even if I don't watch it, it shouldn't matter to her, because the fact is she likes this. This is her passion. She likes doing this, and she's just bringing it out to other people that look at what my passion is. Hey, this may even help you. But if you don't watch it and don't care about it, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect me in any way. And that's the kind of attitude. That's what I like about Julie, that, she has a real passion in this, and she's showing the world, essentially. Once you put it on YouTube, you're showing the world that, hey, look what I'm doing. And you know what? What happens is one thing leads to another, and that's the thing you don't know. At some point, Oprah might be watching Julie's show and saying, hey, we'd like to have this Julie Wu Finkelstein come and invite her to Hawaii. I think that's where she does her shows now. And Julie may get to demo her show, and next thing you know, she's not going to appear on the show anymore. So I hope Oprah's not watching Julie. I'm a little selfish here, otherwise we'll lose Julie, and she'll be on the Oprah channel pretty soon. That's okay. If she makes it on the Oprah channel, that'll be like a little feather in my cap that this made it possible. So Julie, I think this idea about why anybody should listen to you is not the right question to ask. The question is why you should listen to yourself. And if you listen, if you like what you're talking about, then that's all that should matter. Like you like doing yoga, maybe somebody out there who's looking at these yogis who are practicing for hundreds of years. Okay, maybe that's not it, but please, this is good enough. This is good enough. A lot of times we want perfection, and when you try to look for perfection, you can't start anything. So any closing thoughts, Julie?
Yeah, I just want to say, you're right. When Winston Churchill accepted the post as the world prime minister, he was a very shy public speaker. But one thing he did say was, all my whole life, especially the last 20 years, I've been preparing for this. So you never know what you're preparing for. Just keep on working. And public speaking is a great skill to keep on working. Public speaking helps us to have our own true voice, as you said. I mean, that's not what you said. You said, why should I listen to myself? We always have something we need to express. So public speaking helps us to voice what we have to say. So thank you, Jay.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up is because a lot of times people don't get in front of people to talk because they're asking that question themselves. They haven't answered it. So I want people to answer that question, that you got to have that answer. Otherwise, you don't want to ask that question when suddenly you're on the stage and you're like, oh my God, why would these people want to listen to me? That's not the time that you want to ask that question. And one other thing I'll say is what you just mentioned with Winston Churchill. I'm currently working on a speech where I look at three speakers who lived at the same time, Hitler, Churchill, and Gandhi. And I'm trying to come up with a speech, like how they started when it comes to just specifically on public speaking regarding the three themes which we talked about: the message, the purpose, and the authenticity. And I'm working on it. I'm still writing it. And once I'm done, I'm going to record it and maybe get your feedback. Okay, so that is the show. Julie, any closing thoughts on the show before I close it out? You're muted.
Great show. Thank you, Jay.
Okay, Julie, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your videos, and thanks a lot for your insightful comments on the discussion topics. So at this point, all I want to say is that you are how you speak, and we all control that. You don't need to take a class, of course, if you take it, but turn on your video, talk about something that you feel strongly about, and then review it, see how you like it. Give yourself the permission. I have a phone here. You don't need a permission to hit a record button. You know, you record it, you listen to, look at how you look, how you sound, and if you don't like it, record it again. Keep doing it till you start liking it. See what your message is. Like I said, we discussed a very important topic here. There are certain things that you may not like, but you know what? So there are a lot of things that I wish I could change. I wish I could look like George Clooney, sound like Morgan Freeman, but it's not going to happen. So I have to live with what I have, and that's what you have to think about. So do that, but just remember the things that you do control: your message, the purpose, and being yourself, your authenticity. Those three things carries the day. The rest of it don't really matter unless you make it matter. So at this point, do it. As Julie said, just do it. That's how everything gets started. So let me thank you for watching this episode. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or comments on how we can make this better, how we can serve you better, you get my email right up front in the beginning when I introduce the show, and drop us an email. And I know a lot of you have been commenting on the Coursera discussion forum, and we appreciate that. We like to know that people are watching and people are getting engaged. So I want to thank you. And that does it for this show. And we hope to see you for episode number 49. So thank you for watching. All right, Julie, you need to take a break?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
I'll take a 2-minute break too. Okay. Okay.
Hi there.
Hi. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. So we have 24 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me give you a quick update.
Let's get the agenda first.
Right. I need to give you a book update.
Okay.
Book
I want
update.
to talk about the outline for the foreword.
Oh, outline. Okay, maybe we should do that first. Okay, maybe, yeah, book update isn't going to take that long.
Yeah, no, just go ahead. And
Uh,
that's it, right? And then next steps.
there was some other thing. Sometimes I should write these things down.
Okay, we'll start with the book update. You'll
Yeah,
come to you.
right. So the book update is pretty straightforward. So I've been talking to this one woman who actually, I said I need a, a consultant, because at this point I just want to make sure that I talk to somebody who actually is very familiar with this process. She does some more things. I said I want to hire you. I want to basically pay her to do 1 hour of consulting with her to find out where exactly. She gave me some cursory comments, but it's hard for her to comment on something because I just sent her a pretty high level outline. So what I told her when she sent me an email, I said, listen, what I'll do is once I complete my fourth draft, excuse me, fourth draft, I'd like to send it to you. You can take a quick look at it and help me. She could perhaps help become my development editor, because there's some other things she's doing, but I said that's not what I'm interested in. I said what I'd like to do is set up a 1 hour exploratory call where I have certain questions that I'd like to ask you, so I at least know that that I'm on the right track. Because I said my main objective at this point is not marketing. My main objective at this point is get the book published. Whether that means get an ebook done on Kindle and get use CreateSpace to print out a paper copies. That's my top objective. After that, marketing comes next, and at that point we'll decide how we can work together. So I'm trying to schedule 1 hour, and one of the things I'm going to recommend to her is that I have you on the call, because I'll position you as a book coach if you're interested.
How about
Okay.
like just a co-develop? Okay. However, a book coach
advisor, like a book
advisor,
like
yeah.
a book
Coach
advisor,
sounds,
content advisor, that somebody I
that's
work
good.
with,
I like
right?
that.
So I said I work with Julie, so that way you and I can both get on a call with this woman, and she's pretty experienced. I'll send you her details.
How much is she charging you for the 1 hour?
I think that's what I'm trying to find out. It'll probably be like $200.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Because she's done many of these, and I don't mind paying for her expertise. That's what I'm paying for.
That's great.
But I'd rather find out from somebody who's legitimate, and I'll send you her information so you can tell me what you think of her. I haven't paid her anything yet because I'm still waiting to hear back from her. But I need that 1 hour, because I didn't get that when we were talking to one of your friend. I thought she was, but she's totally in a different.
Right.
She's still trying to get through. Her purpose is to go through a literary agent and all that. That's not what I'm going through. What I want to do is I need to know what are the different steps, like layout. Okay, I need to get a layout done. What about the legal aspect of it? Because there are some quotes that I'm using. Do I need to get permission for that, or do I just use the fair use clause that says, okay, as long as I'm just taking a sentence, that may be appropriate.
You're okay with that?
Huh?
You're okay with that? As long as you quote your source,
yeah,
and you're using it for educational purposes, it's okay.
That's called fair use, but I just want to make sure, because I don't want somebody to then come back with that, hey. So the other question is, what are the different types of, because I think what she was saying in her email, I'll forward the email to you.
Okay.
That she can help me with the development, because she has some plan. She calls it the vision plan, which I don't think is appropriate for me. She charges $1,200 for that. I said, right now, the first thing is I need 1 hour with you, and then we can decide where I can work with you. So I said the first thing is I need to know all the different parts of this, what I have to do to get the book done. Whether do I need a development editor? Do I need a copy editor? I don't know those things, okay? I need to know that. And then once the book is done, then perhaps we can discuss about marketing, because marketing is kind of tricky, because you can end up spending so much money and get nothing out of it. Because she looked at my website, but my website is not geared towards public speaking, which I'm going to have to change.
Right.
In the 5 tool group that I originally concept, I might just change it to the 5 concepts of speaking, like engaging, connecting, influencing, persuading, and selling. Maybe that's what the 5 tool group should be. Maybe I'll change that to that, because the 5 tool that originally I had conceived, I'm not really pursuing that anymore. So I may either do that or may just come up with a totally new website. So those are things I have to think about.
Right.
Okay, so that's a quick update. And what I'm doing is I am currently going through and going line by line every single word that I have written. One thing she did point out was that the book is too big. But again, that's her point of view, right? And I said,
Right.
yeah, there are certain things. I said, that's where I need help. I said, there are certain things that might be repetitious, but I kept it in there right now. That's where I need a development editor to take a look at it. And some of them things may, because she said that whole section on great experience may not belong in the book. And I said, well, that's a very major part of this book. So I said, maybe it's not titled appropriately. So those are kind of things that she can help me with. So here's my goal. So here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this fourth draft done. Once I get the fourth draft done, then I'll be in a position, because I'm finding a lot of mistakes that Grammarly makes some of the changes it makes it doesn't make the sentence sound right. So I had to go through it line by line now. I depend too much on it, and it puts commas in the wrong place and things like that. So it's good for a short article, but I don't think it's appropriate for long articles.
Okay.
These tools. So if you ask me what I'm going to be working on, I'll be working on the fourth draft, and also I'll be working on the forward. So now we can, unless you have any question on the book update, we can transition to the forward.
No, that's great. Yeah. Okay. The forward, what I started doing, and I shared that I invited you to edit. So instead of like a single threading, I do it, you do it.
Yeah.
I'm just recommending that you go ahead and put in what you want. I'm using blue, so you can use black. And if you want something deleted or replaced, just put parentheses and then put your comment next to it. That way we can get it done faster.
Do you have a rough outline yet or not?
Yeah, I shared that with you. That's called Forward 4. I shared that with you this morning.
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay, maybe.
So all I'm doing is based on our conversation.
Okay, 1 second. So Forward 4 has the outline.
Yeah. So let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm taking when we were talking on Monday, remember I took all the notes. I'm going in there and delete the stuff and keeping what we have.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's the beginning of the outline. And then what I did was, you know how the beginning sentence is always really important? I crafted 3 options for beginning sentences. Okay. So you and I can kind of brainstorm on that, because to me that's really key. The rest, once we get the content together, it doesn't matter who does the first draft. We'll just work together at the same time. When you have time, you work on it. When I have time, I'll work on it.
But overall, you're comfortable with talking about yourself, right? Are you comfortable with that or not?
Yeah. All this, you'll see that I kept a lot of it, and I even kept a copy of the forward. And we just need to, what I want to do, the way it works best for me is, just go through get the main ideas we want, organize it into sections or groups of paragraphs, and then we'll craft out the sentences in a coherent and consistent tone. So one of us can write it, and then the other one can rewrite it. So
yeah.
I think we can get it done very sooner. I think we can get it done faster if we both just collaborate instead of doing single threading.
Right. So what I'll do is whatever you have done at this point, rather than what I'll do is whatever you have, I'll take a first stab at trying to put something together.
No, before you do that, take the points and organize into major topics. Otherwise, it's going to be like the same idea will be all over the place.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this. So let's just brainstorm. So what should the first? Let's do this. The first thing is, what should the first paragraph look like, and what should the last paragraph look like?
Well, I don't even care about the first paragraph look like.
No. What do you want to say in the first paragraph?
Oh, well, I don't know whether it's 1, 2, or 3 paragraph, but let's just say what's in the introduction. Remember, we're going to have 3 sections. We're going to have introduction. We're going to have the body, and then we're going to have the conclusion. It doesn't matter how many paragraphs there are, right? There's just 3 major sections, right? So that was a part of the problem. When I looked at your forward, I couldn't tell whether introduction ended, when the body start, I could tell what the conclusion was. But it's very important to have the introduction to say, this is what I'm going to tell you.
Right.
We don't have to say those words.
So let me ask you this. So what should the introduction say?
Well, the introduction will be partly based on the major points we have on the sections. So we have to go back and look at that. So one of it was, for example, what you wanted to emphasize in the book, the 3 skills, right? I think that's
yeah.
I can't answer that question in a
what I'm
coherent
saying,
way right now.
what I'm saying is that a forward is not. It's like you can mention that the book contains all of this stuff, like as like here's what it contains. But the part that really I use that I used for my thing now that I've taken the course. See, you don't have to mention that it talks about taking the course and all that, right? Like, Jay, I have taken the course, but the part that I use now when I have to work on the speech are these 3 hacks. So you can just focus on just that aspect of it alone. Do you understand? So remember, there's like a development, then there is a speech specific, the speech, and then there's the other part, the last part of the book is, then there's the appendix, right? The appendix shows all the different things that I've done. But the second to last part before conclusion is that how do you, the maintenance part. There's a development part, there's a speech part, and then there's the maintenance part. You have to decide which one do you want to focus on. I think the speech part is the one you probably want to focus on.
Well, we talked about all that in the Monday meeting.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's all in the note.
Okay, good.
I don't have a fresh recall right now. So that's what I'm saying.
Right. So
we have the notes from the Monday meeting, and that's really the major points to be covered.
Right. Like
out of that, the introduction will come.
Right. Because the introduction is like this, right? Like if you have something that captures somebody's attention with something that either, an experience that you've had that says, okay, look, this is how I ran into this problem, or like you were talking about your career, that could be like an introduction. Like I started out, I was good, this, but I didn't go there, and then you can say, well, like here's how I'm overcoming that, like that. There could be some kind of a narrative there, and that's what I'm trying to find out. What kind of narrative do you want?
I can't tell yet until I look at all the points. See, this is the way I work, is I get all the points together, which is what we did on Monday.
Right.
And then I have to put them together in an organized way. Right. And then the message flows.
Right.
Out of that message is the introduction. I understand that there's, things I have to grab them. It has to be personal. But I can't do it. The introduction is actually the last thing we write.
Right. So let me ask you this. In one word, remember our old formula, the old reliable. In one sentence, what is the narrative that you want to paint in this forward?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can give you something now, but I don't even want to. See, I don't want to get stuck on the content now.
It's not the content. It's not the content because, like I said, if in one sentence, what you're trying to achieve in the forward can be described in one sentence, right? And what I'm trying to find out is, like, in one sentence, what would that be?
Okay, let me think about that, but let me finish.
Or you can just brainstorm. You can brainstorm. It doesn't have to, like, you don't have to have a perfect sentence. Like, it could be, like, there are like stories, right? This is the narrative.
But Jay, I'm trying to keep to my agenda.
Right.
My agenda is to get the process for us to agree on how to move forward, and you're trying to jump into doing it. I don't.
I'm not doing it. No, I'm not trying to get you to do it. I'm just saying that that you thought about this, right? So right now you're saying I just need all the different components there, but I'm saying the overarching. What is the main thing you want to get across? Like if I was reading it, view me as a reader. If I'm reading a forward, what's the main point you want me to get out of that forward? I don't want to know about what you've done. I just want to know what is the main thing you're trying to tell me here with the forward. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, I think it's actually in the content section. It's basically this. Okay. Jay has through his experience and practice, develop a roadmap and all the skills for you to become a good to great public speaker. And it works. If you do it, it'll work.
Okay. It's all there. You now have to, it's all there. You have to do it like I'm doing it, and you can do it too.
Okay, put that in the, okay, let me outline the process for you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I'm still getting stuck here.
Yeah, go ahead, go to the process.
Basically, the way I see it, and we can change it, but let's at least right now we have this document, we're gonna work on it together. And the way I see it for us to be able to get it done quickly is first get all the points, which is what we talked about Monday, in a good list, and then organize it so there has a flow to it. Out of that, then I can write the introduction. And the major theme should be in there, and then we can write the conclusion. When we get that done, we'll just keep on reworking it until we're both happy with the tone of it. Because the content, we should be happy with it. I mean, we'll continue to tweak, but I think from Monday's meeting, we already are happy with the content. And that message, and I understand you want to say that, but at this point, just add it to the document.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry if I'm making you uncomfortable, but
No. I'm just trying to think it, because I don't know. Maybe are we making this more complicated than it needs to be? That's what I'm asking myself. Like, because
okay.
a forward, if we have to spend this much time on a forward, then maybe I'm just asking myself. Then what is the main purpose of it? It should be very simple, right? That if we have to spend 3 days or 3 to figure this out, that means we're turning this into a major project. And I'm just asking myself, is a forward a major project, or it's something pretty straightforward?
Well, it took you 2 years to write the book.
Right, but
so
that's,
3 days, a week or so to work on the.
No, I'm not talking about the actual wordsmithing and all that. I'm saying the main idea of a forward. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is because it has to be, because we're working on a collaboration. Anytime you do something in collaboration, it exponentiates. It makes exponential of the time it takes, because it's taking 2 different ideas and creating a coherent synthesis. I know how. I mean, it has to be one success adherent to the goal of lending you credibility and helping you to sell the book, basically. Secondly, it has to agree with what you want to say.
Right.
And thirdly, it has to agree with what I want to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know any other way to do it, because if I write it, you won't be happy with it. If you write it, I won't be happy with it.
So let me answer this. So let's say if, like, what I'm trying to get from a forward is the following, and let me know if this works for you. Your personal story, that's up to you. Okay, that there has to be that's where the narrative part comes in. That's what I would like. If there's a narrative, that makes it much more readable. But the main thing that I want a forward to is almost like as like a proof point, right? That somebody who has actually followed many of the things that I'm teaching here and has seen improvement.
Right.
That's all I want the forward to say, that, hey, I've this thing works. That's all I need you to say. Not in just those 3 words. Otherwise, there's not much of a forward. That listen, I have a personal story, but forget about my personal. You probably have a similar story too, like that, right? That's the relatable part about the forward. That, look, I have a story about public speaking. You may have something similar. And I took the course, and then I met with Jay, and then I read his book.
Isn't that what's in the content that we met on Monday? Isn't that all there?
Yeah. I'm just I might be repeating myself. I'm just saying that, so that way I can go back and listen to it. So, because I just want to get it out. That's what I would look for. That if I had a choice, that's the kind of forward I would want. That here's my narrative. Here's how I met Jay, and then as I saw the book, Because up to the Coursera part, I don't add any value there, maybe some parts there. The part that I'm saying that I like the overall structure, and I have used many of these techniques, and I have been helped by it. Things like that. That's basically, so that way the other person who reads it says like, wow, here's a person who has actually done it. So they give some credibility to the book.
I totally agree with all that. And
okay, so I think, yeah,
and I hope the Monday meeting captured that.
Yeah.
Because if it did not, then Monday meeting was a failed meeting.
Right. Yeah, I think we went over a lot of stuff there, but that's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to simplify it, because there are a lot of different points that we went through in that meeting. But at the end, that's what this whole thing is. If I had to, in a nutshell, describe what a forward should look, that I would like to see is a narrative part, then how we came together, and then how this book has actually personally helped you. That's it, and how it can help others.
Okay, would you like to start the outline?
Yeah.
Does that help you?
yeah, right. So you want to do that right now?
No, so, you can just go into the document and put it in there.
Right. So well, I'll just give you the three parts. The way I see it is, the first part is your story.
Okay, just put it in the document. You can tell me, but you go ahead and put it in document, because the problem is, if I put it in the document, there's a translation between you and me, and I don't want that.
Okay.
What I want is, because that is a window for miscommunication. So if you put in what you want, I'll be totally happy to follow that structure. Because what you will find, at least what I find, is when I start writing, things start to change.
Right. I haven't seen that document. That's why, because I was preparing for the show. So if you send it to me today, I haven't had a chance.
I haven't put it in any order because I was working from the bottom up. I was trying to get all the points and then get the structure. But you have a structure in mind now, so we can go ahead and follow your structure.
Right.
I just don't want to take notes and put it in there.
Yeah,
that's why I don't want to.
Right. Because I'll have to go back again to the first one that I sent you to see
it's in there. It should be in there. It's at the bottom, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I think we're clear on that. So I have to do some work after we're done today. What else do we need to discuss? Anything else? There was some other thing that I had.
You said you had other stuff.
Why is it not coming?
I know what you want to talk about. After the end of the year, you want to create interviews or something.
Yeah. Let's talk about that briefly. So I'm thinking about that. We're going to at some point to decide what to do with this. Because we've been now doing it, we need to take some more, take it to the next level. Not next level in the sense that, but I think at some point we need to bring people who are acknowledged professional speakers and have them come on the show, invite them to come on the show and discuss it. So that way, not only you and I can learn, but maybe other people within the Coursera community and outside can learn what it is like. Because I don't see anybody ever address that. There are some shows that do it, but I'm not sure they do it really that well. As what is the process? Because I'd like to know what the process is. How did they become a speaker? What are some of the fears that they have when they're speaking? I mean, Michael Port does it, but the thing is that his market is people that are really professional speakers. A lot of people that we deal with are not even at that level. I mean, I'm not at that level. So I want to see if there's anything that we can learn from people who are professional speakers, who give a lot of speeches, and what is their process like? How do they get that? What are some of the tips that they would give so that we can learn from people that a lot of us aspire to be at some point, that we want to be able to comfortably give a speech in front of a small group or a large audience. And we need to identify some people that we think would be interesting, who would be forthcoming in giving us, because a lot of them may not even know what they're doing because they've been doing it for so long that they may not even think about what are some of the things that they do. Like if they had to suddenly give a speech tomorrow, what would their preparation be like? Walk us through your process. Tell us your process. So it'll be very much process oriented, not like, hey, listen, give a speech, it's fun, and I don't want to hear that substrate you can get from anything. I want to know what their unique process that makes their speech work. That's what I want to get out of inviting people. And if they can come and do that, then I think I would get a lot of value. What kind of value would you like to get out of inviting people?
It's 11:31, so let's just spend 4 more minutes, and then
yeah, we'll wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up. I'm sure I'll get a lot of it. My first question was who would you invite? Like, how would you source them?
I'll just directly send them an email and see if they would be interested in.
Like who though? Like who would you send the email to?
Oh, like someone like Dory Clark.
Oh, I don't know who she is.
Yeah, she's written several books. She used to be like some of these people I follow on Twitter and stuff, so I know who they are.
Oh, okay.
I know who they are. I mean, it could be somebody from like Dory Clark is somebody quite well known. We could even ask Michael Port if he doesn't think he's such a big shot, that if he would like to come on our show and talk about public speaking. So we could invite Michael. You can invite anybody. I mean, again, we don't need a permission to invite people, right? Like we said before.
But we want to make sure we get some people if we're going to go ahead, right? So I think.
Oh, yeah, but again, it's like we can try to get people, but it's not like we're dependent. I'm just saying that's something we should add to the show. That's what I'm saying. It's something I wanted to have a discussion. Is this something that you think would be valuable to?
Yeah.
Get like maybe not every week, but every other week.
Would you do like a segment just like now?
No, I would do the entire. Depending on how much time they have, if they're giving us at least a minimum of half hour, then we would just use that as one segment, and then use after they're done, we can discuss it, some of the points that they made, and we have a discussion around that. So what I could do is this is just a brainstorming, okay?
Yeah,
so let's just say if Michael Port came on our show, I would at least like him to spend half hour with us. If he cannot give us half hour, then I don't see any value in inviting people who cannot give us half hour. Okay.
Okay.
And I mean, if they would like to give us more time, then better it is for us. But let's say minimum is half hour. Okay.
Okay.
And maximum is 1 hour.
Okay.
And then what we do is after they're done, we spend like maybe 15 minutes just kind of reviewing some of the things they talked about and how that can be used.
Okay.
Just like what we're doing, they come on, instead of us watching their video, we'll have them on and ask specific questions about their process, all of these type of things that we run into, like just a question we just answered, the elephant in the room, imposter syndrome, how do they overcome that? These are kind of like pick their brain when it comes to the whole process, not as far as like, hey, speaking is fun and all that. I don't want to hear all that. That's we know that, okay? That fear and all that. I want to get it granular, get it down to the granular terms about speaking so that we can be helped and others can be helped.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay.
How can I support you?
Yeah, if you come across anybody that you think, somebody who is an acknowledged public, not somebody who's like so busy like that they'll never come on this show because they got so many things and we're just not that big yet. We don't have like thousands of views. The one thing we do have is that we are part of Coursera. So we have to leverage that we are part of this course. And this is something else that we have a global community here. Okay. We have a global community. That's Coursera community is something we already have. And we also need to promote this on Coursera too. And we can even ask Amy or what's the other woman's name? Claire, that this is something we're planning to do. Would you be okay with that? They would be okay with it. But so just let them know that there is that we're just letting Coursera know that this is something we're going to be posting. Is this something that would be okay with you guys?
Okay, yeah.
We could even get Dr. McGarity. He could be our first guest.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. And also the other place that might be a good place to source is Toastmasters.
I want really people out there who are giving speeches primarily.
I mean like directors. There are people in Toastmasters who have given speeches.
There are people who have won awards. I know who they are. I could certainly contact them. There is a guy from Sri Lanka who won it. There was a guy from India who won it. And if they want to come on, those are good points, Julie. The people who are award winners on Toastmasters.
Yeah, even like directors, like who are high in the leadership levels.
No, I want, so they're speakers, right?
Yeah, the speakers, and
Yeah,
we can
if
make
you can.
them.
Yeah, I don't need named people. I need people who are going to add value. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, they will be.
Yeah.
They
So
will
if you
be.
come across any names, start reaching out to them and saying that, because remember, this is your co-host, right? So, but we need to figure out what is the format we're going to use, what are kind of fundamental questions we're going to ask, so we can prep them ahead of time. And
Yeah.
the thing that I'm more interested in is they can talk about their speaker's journey. That could be one. They can start with that, then directly get into their development phase, sort of like how my book is structured, and then how do they tackle the speech, and how do they maintain their talent. Those are the three areas that I would like to cover in the show. So it's pretty straightforward.
That sounds great.
So if you know anybody, start reaching out to them, start having a relationship already, so that way, because these things take time, by the way. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know anybody, but I can
you don't need to know anybody. You
I
just
can put the word out.
yeah, you don't need to know anybody. Just start reaching out to them and saying, listen, we have this show.
Yeah.
We reach the Coursera community. And if you're interested, I can send you more details. And that's it. Just send them a simple email. I'll draft it, and we can send it out to different. One day we can just come up with some 10, 20 names and just send it out and see what they say.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, Julie, I got a great partner. Thanks a lot.
I thank you. Thank you for your patience.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.